pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remind everybody to turn on your microphones and silence your cell phones. And we'll start with roll call.
Mayor Sherman,
Here.
Councillor Klinkhammer,
Here.
Councillor Lundstrom,
Here.
Councillor Spradlin,
Here.
Councillor Tyree.
Here.
All right. Is that everybody? Oh. Yay. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. If everybody has a chance to look over this agenda, are there any additions or corrections? If not, I'd look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for August 22nd, 2022. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councillor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Councillor Tyree,
Yes.
Councillor Klinkhammer,
Yes.
Councillor Spradlin,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from our last meeting. Any corrections or revisions? I'll look for a motion.
I move we approve the regular meeting minutes of August 8th, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councillor Spradlin,
Yes.
Councillor Klinkhammer,
Yes.
Councillor Tyree,
Yes.
Councillor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Next we have visitors and delegations. We have time set for citizen comment. Citizens are invited to speak to council on any item that does not have a public hearing scheduled. There's a 5-minute time limit per person unless otherwise noted by the mayor, and please use your time wisely as you only get one opportunity. It's the only chance in the meeting to address council unless otherwise invited. Please note that no formal action can be taken on an item that's not posted on the posted agenda due to the open meeting law provision. However, they may be placed on a future posted agenda if action is required. To better assist you with questions, please submit them in writing to the city clerk and someone from staff will respond, and there are forms on the end of that table if you have anything. So do we have anyone to sit for comments today? I read all that? Nothing? Okay. Management. We have our Ward 2 councilor interviews. We've got two candidates. So Monty will escort, well, we'll just take, Paul's not,
Is he on yet?
I don't think Paul's here on there yet, so maybe we,
haven't started the meeting yet, so.
okay. Do we want to just tell him we'll start him after Chad, maybe?
Maybe we'll do Paul first, Chad
Paul
second.
first? Okay, we can do that too.
Is there a copy of
Do
the
we have the questions?
Pass them in there.
Oh, thank you. I panicked.
Oh, you might need two apiece. You guys each have two.
Oh,
And then your notes on those, we usually keep your notes. And then we'll give those to the clerk.
okay.
Thank you.
So we're on, we're just waiting for whoever we're waiting for to join.
Kim, do you want to text Paul and make sure he's tracking?
Is he out of town or?
He had a family emergency come up.
Tell them to dial in about 10 minutes, and we'll go ahead and get started with Chad.
So do we want to close that so he can't pop in
I'll just mute us.
or mute us? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Chad, we'll start with you. If you want to come up to the podium and introduce yourself. Oh, I guess you got the same information we do.
Well, he's got
Little
he's
Only the
got-
beginning?
Yep.
Okay. Introduce yourself.
So I'm Chad White, Brush citizen since 2015. My wife and I bought our house and moved here. My work history, I've managed 5 different businesses in Morgan County through my 20 some odd years of working. Education, started my education in Wilton Valley School and Middle Elementary. Went to Wiggins High School. Graduated from Wiggins High. Worked several years until I decided what I'd like to do. Then I went back to school for wind energy. Got an associate's degree in wind energy. And then once I graduated from that, applied for a few jobs. The job offers weren't in the state of Colorado and weren't the money that I wanted. So I applied for the railroad. Currently work for BNSF. Currently work out of Brush. Cover the area from Sterling, Colorado, all the way to Commerce City. So all the way through Morgan County. See, I have 5 daughters. 7 of them or 6, 5 of them are grown and out of the house. One is at home. She attends Brush High School. We got 5 grandbabies, 2 granddaughters and 3 grandsons. 2 of those live in Morgan County or in Morgan. The oldest, or the second granddaughter, she's going to attend Thompson Elementary here this beginning this fall, or just starting now. Born and raised in Morgan County. Lived here my whole life, so I understand what our communities are about, what we do here, how we live and survive. My interest in council seat is, I've been a member of the community. I understand the county and how it works. I like to see things grow. I like to see things improve, keep an open mind and bring in businesses that we can help grow our community. I'd like to speak for, our members of our community, and I think I have an open mind. Don't know exactly what my role in the council would be, but I believe I'd learn that quickly and help the council the best I can, just for my years of leadership and management experience. I think I covered all the questions there that are on the sheet for introducing myself.
Okay.
You can begin with questions if you're...
Yep, we've got some questions. So you want to just start with number 1 down at that end? Okay.
How are you, Chad?
I'm nervous.
That's
Yeah.
not the question. That's not the question, Chad. Do you have any experience in serving in a municipal government or on municipal boards?
No, I don't have experience in serving in a municipal stance. Where I believe that I can help out is I do know parliamentary procedure. I learned that in agriculture education when I was in high school. I am a union member, and I am the lodge secretary and treasurer of my union out of Denver, 1351. That's how I believe I can help and where I stand on that.
Thank you.
Hey Chad, the city is very busy with multitudes of issues in many different areas. Do you have the time to devote the duties of being on council?
I believe I am very motivated and self-motivated. So I would make the time, just like I make time for my union meetings, make time. I'm the foreman of my crew here in Brush, so I kind of set my schedule. So I would set my schedule appropriately to make the time to do what I needed to do for council.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
So training is really important, and I feel like it's great when we can do training all together. In June, there's a CML conference every year. Next year, it'll be held at the Gaylord. I guess that doesn't matter, but would you be able to make time to attend that training once a year for the 3 days?
Like I said before, I'm the foreman, and I have a very good working relationship with my boss. So I don't believe there would be any issues of me making the time to attend those trainings or additional trainings I might need to make myself a better counselor.
What are some of the things that you have heard from residents that are a concern for them?
Honestly, until I've taken this thought of joining the council, I really hadn't had my ear open. I kind of listened to more of what my coworkers need or the union needs from me, because we are in a kind of a difficult position right now with our contract with BNSF. But as if I were to get the position, my ears would open more towards listening to what people need and my surrounding neighbors' needs and concerns.
What, in your opinion, does the city do well?
What does the city do well? I think they do well at maintaining their parks and their streets. Just driving around town, you notice the streets are well maintained, and I believe that we also have a good working relationship with BNSF, because I've worked with Monty and I've worked with Derek, trying to have a good relationship with the railroad. I've seen improvements with the LAM facility. I think we're headed in the right direction.
Okay, you kind of answered this one already, Chad, I feel, but are there any areas in the city that you feel need improvement, and what are those areas?
There's always room for improvement. If you just look, there's always room. It doesn't matter which area. And if we keep our eyes open for those improvements, we'll see them. Like I said before, I have not had my ear or nose to the grindstone on that, but if elected for the position, I would keep a closer eye for those things.
Cool, thank you.
All right. What are some of the things that council could do to encourage more public participation in our process?
That's a good question. That's a tough one, because we struggle with getting members to participate in their union, and they pay dues to get into that union. So that's a tough call. That would be something I'd really have to think hard on, because it's a struggle for my union as it is. I don't know, maybe mailers, maybe text message reminders, something simple people forget about. Maybe a sign that says the web page to get to see the council meetings. Just things popping in my head real quick.
Is there anything else you want us to know?
I think I've stated everything, that like to look to the future. I want to build a good community for my family and friends that live here. That's about all I can say.
Very good. Anybody else have anything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chad.
Ted. Okay, so now we will have to do the same thing with Paul. Once we get him going.
Yeah.
Would you like
So-
me to step out for his interview?
Yes, if you would. Tim, did you let him know?
He's in waiting. Waiting to be opened up.
Oh, you did.
Doesn't show anybody waiting.
Do we want to just call him and put him on speakerphone?
See if Tyler can figure it out.
Find him. He's
Well, it
waiting.
doesn't show up if someone's in the waiting room, but there's nothing here.
Maybe you should dial in again.
Have him try it one more time. Does Paul have this?
Yep, we get it.
Okay.
Well, let's go out and go back in.
That would be pretty nerve-wracking. Oh God, I just went through the election. It's a lot simpler.
That's a pretty picture.
Does he have the right link?
Do you want to just speak or call?
Probably, or I'll end it.
It says he's on. Is he in the right one?
Yeah, it should go right to the link.
Anything from Paul?
He's saying stop showing a picture of him online.
You might be in the dark room.
And it's the last link they just sent him, or today?
The link we did.
Is this camera turned off?
Yeah.
It would show up, there's no one else
show.
Yeah,
trying
he
to
showed
get
a
in.
picture. But we only did the one meeting.
Does our star phone work, Joanne?
Yeah.
Can we try that?
Yeah.
Let's call him instead of struggling with this. It would have been preferable to have him on video, but I don't know if this is going to work or not.
Hello, this is Paul.
Hey Paul, welcome.
Hi. I picked
fine. It says you're in session, but it won't let me go on for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, we're not sure either on our end, so we'll just do it over the phone then.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
Hi, Paul.
Wish I could get the video. I apologize. I apologize for everything going on, but we've got to get up to see Teresa's mother because she's not doing very well, and we're trying to get up to the hospital at Delta tonight, so got your picture.
Okay.
So it's getting a little bit worse off, so I apologize. And I do appreciate everybody working with me in regards to that so that I can go up and see her. So it means a lot, so thank you.
You're welcome. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Do you want
Can
to?
you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. Do you have the little introduction presentation guideline there?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and start with that?
Okay, so my name is Paul Costa. I have born and raised in Brush, Colorado, and my brief work history is I've worked mainly with the school district for the past 16 years. I've been a 911 operator. I've worked at the local hospital. I've worked at High Plains Youth Center. So, and as a dispatcher for the 911 system, I worked with that one for about 9 years. So I have pretty good history into that. My education, I have a bachelor's degree in elementary teaching, and I'm also credentialed now for career technology education, which is called CTE, and the subjects I teach at my school are firefighting, EMS, first aid CPR, and radio broadcasting. I do have a background in radio broadcasting as well in my education. I'm interested in becoming part of city council because, one, it's kind of been a tradition in my family. My father did it. My sister Suzanne was part of the council, and that was kind of one of the things that I wanted to do was continue that tradition of our family name of the Acostas being involved in city council. As many of you know, I'm a person that really likes to help others, and I have my own weather spotting page that I go out and we try to let the public know if there's any bad weather coming their way, and my boys help me with that to be a part of the community that way. And I've been a firefighter on the Brush Fire Department for 29 years now. I currently serve as the president for the Colorado State Firefighters Association. This will be my third year serving as president. And this year I'm also, sorry, I didn't mean to say this year, but I'm currently serving with the National Volunteer Fire Council. I've been a part of the Fire Council for the last 8 years, and this year I am running for second vice chair of the National Volunteer Fire Council. It's an accomplishment that's never been reached by, that's been reached by any of our Colorado representatives. I'm one of 2 representatives from the state of Colorado that represent 49 states at the national level, so it's a big part for me to be a part of that organization. I serve with the Colorado Fire Commission under Governor Polis' direction. I was allowed to serve a couple of terms with him. Matter of fact, I'm giving up my term this year to one of my newer members of my board, just because I want to give them their opportunity to be a part of the fire service as well. The fire service has been a big thing for me. Certified as a storm spotter, I'm certified under ice rescue, just things that tie in with the fire service is where I'm certified at. And just helping, and as you can see with all that, my interest on being on council is helping the community. That's just what I've always been. Many people have known me for being a part of that. I've been that way for my whole life. I like to step up and just take on challenges. Sometimes I'm told I might have a few extra irons in the fire, but, to be honest with you, I really enjoy what I do. I don't think I could sit at home and be bored and not helping somebody. So my wife calls me a professional volunteer. So that's kind of where I get my nickname from her on that. I feel that I'm very qualified to be on the council one, just because I have my educational background. I have a lot of knowledge in regards to things that involve in the fire service. I'm actually even on the National Fire Protection Agency. I serve on their technical committees that create rules for all the firefighters throughout the world. And one of the biggest one that just was brought onto was an NPA 3000. create the rules and regulations for that. I work around quite a bit of budgets, especially with the National Volunteer Fire Council, so that does give me that opportunity to be a leader, and I think that also qualifies me to be part of the council. I've been serving on many councils. I've done like the National Volunteer Fire Council. I've also served on the NFPA. We also have a committee team that was a 3-year term that I carried with them, and I worked with firefighters from all over the United States. I've also served as the Northeast Colorado Fire President. Even locally, I worked with the Booster Club. I was the president of the Booster Club for a while, and I just feel that I've got a lot of things to, sorry, my son's building up in the background. I just have a lot of things to offer for this council, and I really believe in my community, and I have a lot of love for my community of Brush.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul.
I'm sorry I sound so plugged up too. Driving in the mountains makes my nose sound very plugged up, so I sound probably different today.
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
We still know it's you. So we've got a few questions that we're going to ask, so I'll just have each counselor ask you a question. So we'll
Okay.
start down here at this end.
Hey, Paul, this is Counselor Spradlin.
Yeah.
First question is, do you have any experience in serving in municipal government or on municipal boards?
To be honest with you, yes, I have a couple of them. I've served with the Rural Fire Protection District as when I was the fire chief, and as the chief of the fire department in Brush, I actually served with the municipality area there when I was serving for my 4 years as chief, if that qualifies.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Paul. This is Counselor Tyree. Second question. The city is very busy with a multitude of issues in many different areas. Do you have the time to devote to the duties of being on council?
When it comes to time, absolutely, I feel I do. I mean, I currently am in the middle of football season with my middle schoolers, but we'll be done by September with that. So by the end of September is when our season ends. So it's only a month long in middle school, but once that frees up, and I know that the opening, the first meeting that I would attend would be like on the 12th of September. I know by then we'll be halfway through, so I feel like I'll have the time definitely to do so. And since I don't run as many fire calls as I used to, just because I'm more of a active retired, it gives me some time to help with other things within the community.
Thank you. Oh, I get the same question. Hi, Paul. It's Dana. Mayor Sherman. Just sounds.
Hi, Tina.
Hi. So in June every year we have a CML conference that we like counselors to be able to attend because it's really good training. Would you be able to attend this training each year that's held for counselors in June?
Yeah, I mean, in June, actually, I'm done with school, so by end of May, we are out of school, and usually I pick up some volunteer time at the school, excuse me, not volunteer time, I pick up some additional work time at school to help teach some after-school sessions, but, you know, if there's a CML meeting going on at that time, I'm more than happy to get that scheduled and then worry about that first, and then come back and pick up some extra time with the school district.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Paul, it's Counselor Klinkhammer. The question I got for you is, what are some of the things that you've heard from residents that are a concern for them?
To be honest with you, I've heard a few things, and, you know, the biggest, I think, that's out there is, to be very honest with you, is just the flooding has to be the biggest one. And I'm not talking about my place. I'm talking about areas like on Cambridge, and I've been approached about those, and I know Cambridge isn't in my ward, but that's one of the biggest things is that we've had all these repairs downtown, and the flooding still occurs, and I tell people, well, it just depends on the amount of rainfall that we get. You know, it's just, some systems can't go too far with, you know, with all the heavy rainfall. It just depends on how much rain is occurring. The other thing I think out there is accountability. I know that that's a big thing, is are we making sure that we're spending our money correctly? And to me, I don't see the issues with it, but I know that, you hear that from the public when you visit with them. So that's always one of those things that I'm more than willing to listen to, but I also know that there's a lot of things that go on behind closed doors, especially when it comes to discussing on how we spend money as a council or anything. And people don't realize all that truly goes on when you put yourself into a job of this nature. I guess I look at it more like the military, that if they only knew the other things that were involved, they would understand.
Thank you.
Mr. Acosta, this is Larry. What is your, in your opinion, what does the city do well?
In my opinion, what does the city do well? I honestly think, Larry, is that we do a wonderful job at keeping our streets clean. I think that's one of the biggest things that makes me proud. I love watching the snow plows come through. I love watching my grandkids love the trash guys coming through and just keeping our neighborhood clean where we live. And I think that's a big thing. And I think Brush does a great job of showing its pride when it comes to showing how clean our community is. So I think if that's my top thing, I would say, Larry, that would be truly it, because I think we do have a really nice looking community.
Thank you, bud.
Are there areas in the city that you feel need improvement, and what are those areas?
To be honest with you, I would look at some of those areas like on the south side of town. I know I see a lot of standing water over by the prairie ponds and things like that. And my mom, and that it's personal to me a little bit, probably more too, because my mother lives over on that side of town, and I know that's one thing. I know my mom likes to call the police department probably 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if she could, because she's like me. She has a lot of pride in the community. But I do think that some of those areas need kind of fixed up, and those streets just need to look a lot better, because I think we have a lot of public that goes there, especially when we have the rodeo and we have so much, so many visitors that come to our community. I think also the other thing that I would like to focus on is just getting that housing for people. I think the biggest thing we hear is everybody's looking for a place to rent in town, and there's just nowhere to rent. And if there is a place to rent, it's $1,200 a month. And to be honest, people can't afford $1,200 a month. And I know that's a tough one that we can't, as council, enforce. But if there's a way that we can come up with some community housing or something just to help make it better for everybody else.
What are some things that the council could do to encourage more public participation in our process?
I'm a person that believes in questionnaires, and I think I received a couple of questionnaires from you guys, and I like filling those out. To me, feedback is everything. I feel like I can do that, and I think just taking the time to go out and listen to the voice. When I'm out and about at sporting events, things, I usually hear people talk about things, and I encourage that you need to go and talk about it to the council and be more participating, or to be much a better participator, and just show that great enthusiasm for your community, so that they know that you truly do care for it. So I guess that one. I'm also a fan of liking to have. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a moment, but I'd like to have. We have community meetings or gatherings that people could just voice their concerns to you. I'm a person that likes an open forum like that, so I think that would be something beneficial.
Thank you, Paul. That's the end of our questions. Do you have anything else you want us to know or you'd like to share with us?
I think the only thing I just want to make sure I've confirmed is, I believe it's September 12th is when I'm supposed to be a part of if I do get approved, to be a part of the community on that, to be a part of the council. I just want to make sure of that. And then I'm a person that comes out of the military, so I believe in dress attire, so I want to make sure that all those things are covered for me if I do get the job, just to make sure that my dress and my appearance looks good. And because I'll be honest, as a football coach, I already told my head coach that, if I leave, I got to go home, I got to change, I got to shower, I got to, I just have that military background in me that says that you got to look good before you show up. So that's kind of how I wanted to address that.
Yeah, the first meeting would be the second Monday in September. I think that is
Okay.
the 12th.
That's the 12th.
Yeah. Yep. And dress is brush casual.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right, so we will bring Chad back in. You can stay on the line. We need to open
I
discussion.
just want to also say thank you for the opportunity, everybody. I appreciate it, and I know that it really inconvenienced everybody with what's going on with me, but I just hope everybody's understanding that, you know, and I want to make sure everyone knows my situation. My wife's mother isn't doing very well, and we're trying to get up there to the hospital in Delta just in case she passes away in the next 24 hours.
Yep. Yep, I think we all understand that. So, thank you. And, all right, so I will open this for council discussion. Got two.
This is the third time I've had to do this, and it's always tough.
It is tough.
For some reason, we always have two awesome candidates,
Mhm.
and this has always been the worst part of this. I think because no matter what we do, I think we have a great candidate. You
Yeah.
know? Heard nothing good things about Chad. You know, I don't know you very well, but knows him a great things. Good interview. I've known Paul a very long time. He's a good man. He has done a lot for the community already, so I like that. That's my 2 cents. He has a horrible taste in football teams. I'll say that. That should go against him. But
I'll second that.
I knew that was coming up.
Yeah, I think this is something that all of us as counselors actually dread, because this is supposed to go through a process of an election. In this case, it's a little bit of a special scenario because we had a counselor that moved, but on some of those where just nobody runs and then you have to appoint them, it's always hard to know what the best fit for council or what the best fit for the city or that kind of stuff is. And this is one of the hardest things we do, I think, on council. And luckily, this will go to an election, right? The next election,
Yep.
whoever is chosen
Yep.
is up for Hessler.
We'll have to go through the election process.
Okay, so I think whatever decision we make on this is probably going to work out just fine and get some new ideas. And
I think we have two great candidates, so I'm going to leave it up to my council. But yeah, I've known both of these guys for a long time, and I would, you know, I'm glad I got to listen to both of you talk. I feel confident with either one. So, got anything, Scotty?
I have nothing at this time. Other than this is my second one in only
Yeah,
few short
this
months of
is
being on
always
council, and this is not fun.
so hard, especially in a small community where you know people, and it's very tough.
This is my first one, and you are right. This is
very
uncomfortable.
tough.
I
This is what we
sorry
had
I
to
put
do
you guys all
with
through
you.
this. Sorry I put you through that.
But we had a great choice, you know. I think we made the right choice with you.
Thank you. That was so nice.
So I would just look for continued discussion, or ask if anybody would like to make a motion to fill the vacancy.
I'll be the guy. I make a motion to approve Chad White as the Ward 2 counselor.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Klinkhammer.
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom.
yes.
Counselor Spradlin.
Yes.
Counselor Tyree.
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
It's so hard, but yes. No. We appreciate your interest, Paul. We just never know how it's going to go, but thank you.
and I'll be honest, folks, I couldn't hear much, so I just wanted to make sure what happened.
Okay. Chad was, there was a motion to appoint Chad White, and there was a second, and the votes were all for that.
Okay.
So, but
Hey, thoughts and prayers to Mama Keller too.
Yes.
Hope that turns out.
yep,
For you.
drive safe.
What's that?
I said thoughts and prayers to Mama Keller.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank
Paul.
you.
Okay. Take care now.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
That thing is so hard to hear.
It is. So, all right. So, congratulations,
Congratulations, Chad.
Chad White. We are having a work session after this meeting on just Robert's rules, and I don't think it's going to be that official, more just some training. So if you'd like to stick around for that, that would be great.
Okay.
All right, next item is our middle school grounds project funding.
Okay, Lance and I will kind of tag team this a little bit. He's got some information, I've got a little bit of information. So I'll do a lead in, and then Lance can kind of fill in anything that I might have missed. So the city council a few meetings ago had a discussion about parks and master planning and what type of new facilities we'd want to start looking at constructing. We had also been visiting with the school district about the middle school grounds. And so the discussion ended up being the council gave us directions to put our focus towards the Prairie Trails Park, which is down by Doty Pond, and that was part of our master plan for quite a few years. Actually, back in the late 90s, I think, Lance, is the first time that we acquired land, and that was a future plan, was to put a baseball field complex there. And I think we've had two ballot questions that went out there, and one barely lost, the other one lost by a long ways. But a lot of that, just during that time, not a lot of interest in improving, or there was interest in improving the park, but didn't want the taxes that went along with it. But over the years, we've done a few improvements out there with a walking path around the area. We also brought in a lot of the fill material that we needed to get the area to the right elevation. And about 5 or 6 years ago, we were close to starting to do the first phase of it. However, at the same time, we did have a lot of interest in the city of Brush taking over the golf course. So when we took over the golf course, that we knew that was going to be financially one of the big draws from the city, and so we've had a lot of help from the couple foundations, JNN and Pettis Foundations, have both helped us out quite a bit. So now our golf course is looking very well, but also financially is doing well also. So so we're shifting our attention back to the Prairie Trails Park. Lance did, after that meeting, brought to my attention that we had already done all the engineering for it. So that was easy for Western Engineering to go back out and start relooking at those plans, the cost estimates, and that process is taking place currently. But we did have, or I guess I did have a discussion with Dr. Wilson with the Brush School District. He's the superintendent. And we talked about, even though we're shifting our attention to the Prairie Trails Park, we still had the interest in doing some type of work out on the middle school grounds. So I'd explained to him that I would approach the city council and see if there's a way we can still this year do a little bit of work out there on the middle school grounds. And it's the approximately the western half of that field of getting the grass back. So about 1.5 years ago, the water was turned off there, and so it's almost all the grass is dead, I believe, and the track that goes around there, that's been removed for the most part. So in order to get this field going again, it's going to take regrading the area, putting in a sprinkler system, bringing in some fill dirt to get it to the right grade, and then putting sod down. And the sod is a pretty expensive piece of that. And so Lance has done some work on getting some quotes of approximately how much it would cost to sod that whole area. Now, another option is to go out there, grade it, and seed it, but then it's going to take a lot of water. There's a lot of risk if the seed's going to take a lot more maintenance to it. But then you probably need to wait a couple years before it gets very established so you can use it for recreation, whether the school or the city. So Lance and I thought the sod is probably the best route to go, because if you established it yet this year, you're probably going to be able to use it next spring. Lightly use it, and then after a couple years, it'll be pretty good shape. This is really important because when the secondary campus was built, we had a lot more field space there that we could utilize. Now we have less field space there to utilize. And some of the fill space that is there, the grade's not quite right, so it's kind of rough. So this is an opportunity to at least get half of that area completed. And Mayor Sherman and I both visited with a couple of the school board members and with Dr. Wilson, and we just threw out there again, if they can take care of the grading and the field dirt and the sprinkler system, that we would approach the city council tonight in regards to the sodding of it. And
eventually the well.
Oh, yep.
Eventually
So
the well.
another thing really important about this, so this is a first step, but we also wanted to help out the school district with that property, but also at the same time not use as much city water, high quality city water. So we're working with the school district to put in a well out there. And to do that, we need to make sure that Dale Colrick has this well fall underneath our augmentation plan. So he's been working on that for about 6 months. And more details on that piece of it, but that'll be probably a next year project, is installing a well. And the idea is keep the cost down for the school district, because us just pumping that well water is much less expensive than our high quality water from our aquifer that we pull from south of town. It won't be treated water, it'll be simply well water, agricultural grade water, but it'll save water for us a long time. It'll clean up the area. And Lance did a little bit of research with Graff's Turf Farm, and there's different types of grass you can put out there. The type of grass that Lance would like to put out there is a bluegrass variety that is a little bit more drought tolerant. So it's not the standard bluegrass mix that a lot of yards are made out of that take a lot of water. This one is about third down on the list as far as the most drought tolerant, but it's durable, and so we wanted the durability of it. So the estimated cost right now is $66,000 to sod that area. Sounds like a lot of money, but if you ever sodded a yard, Tyler just sodded a yard. It costs quite a bit to buy that sod laid down.
That includes installation and also delivery.
Yep. So they'll put it all together for us. Mayor and I had talked about a little bit. We were originally going to look at a huge community laying down sod event, but then when Graff saw how much it was out there, they said, you're going to be out there forever. So they said the better option is they bring in really large rolls of it, and then they lay it down so it's done in a day or two and has a better chance of surviving. So I'll turn over to Lance in a minute for anything else he might have, but the $66,000, that's our quick estimate on it. I was going to ask the city council to approve us to spend up to about $75,000 in case there's some incidentals. And there's a few places that these funds can be taken from. And one is the Water Conservation Fund, which is part of this whole project. Lance has probably a little bit of room in his parks budget, and of course we also have ARPA funds that we still have been talking about how to use those. And so this would help with open space, which is one of the allowable areas where you can use those funds. So we're throwing that out there as an opportunity, partner with the school district, and it's a little bit of an eyesore out there, but at least we'll take care of half of it and get it to be a usable space. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think this is a really good opportunity for both entities to work together in a project, and with that area looking the way it is really unusable at this point. And coming off Colorado, it is one of our entryways into the town. And if we got a big, nice grass area, not only will it be beneficial for youth sports, but this plan is to still keep a walking area around the grass, and the community would be able to have an open space area. The library has different programs that they'd be able to utilize it. And I just think that overall, it just makes a lot of sense for that property because I think it feels like the timing's right now. So I just the ball fields over there will be great at Prairie Trails Park, but this would also satisfy a lot of needs for some of the youth activities and give us more space to perform those. So I think it's a good idea.
One thing I wanted to clarify when I talked about the western half, the eastern half, the school district still has some interest in putting some buildings up there, so we didn't want to put in sod, just have it ripped out. So we thought hold off on that piece for a while.
And as we go further, I think, and still with us helping financially with the sod and everything, it still be the school district's responsibility for maintenance and mowing and maintaining the water and all that sort of thing. We're just kind of giving it a kickstart to get it going.
So you feel like this would alleviate the need for some of the practice fields?
It'll give us another place where some of the T-ballers and the farm league kids will have an additional place. Probably soccer, right now, Beaver Valley is still kind of iffy on when we use soccer and that open area there. There's just a lot of stickers and different things like that. So it will give us multiple places that we can practice and serve our programs. Yes.
So it does help a little bit, at least.
Oh yeah,
Good.
big time. Yeah.
And the agreement here is that the community will be able to use that space? It's
Yes.
not gonna be like fenced off and signs up, no
No.
trespassing?
Nope, with that, they'll be able to utilize that space. The only, with the school properties, they have signs up that say, with their permission, but with this one, since the school is gone, there won't be any school hours or nothing like that, so the general public will be able to utilize it as they wish.
And that won't change when the buildings go up?
Not the western half. The western half has been, unless, other people that are come in 20 years change that, but the people that are talking about it now, that's going to be open to the community for the foreseeable future.
And we have multiple quotes on the sods, or just the one from?
We really only have the one in the county, don't we, Lance?
What's
As far as multiple quotes.
That was the only one, because it was just, I believe the meeting was last week, and so he's the one that has helped us out with a lot of different projects within our golf course and other parks. So I went to him first. I can go get additional ones too, but that's just giving you a rough base on what things are going to cost.
Okay.
And they can get the grading and sprinkler and stuff done before snow flies this year?
So that's going to be a challenge, but it's not that terrible, the grading piece of it right now. It's going to need some fill dirt, and then when you put sod on top, of course, sod's fairly thick itself. So they had done some previous studies on it already to see what
They've
it was
already
going
talked
to
to
take.
the sprinkler person, and he said there'd be no problem getting the sprinkler system in. It would just be a matter of finding that person to grade it and stuff like that, and I just don't, that's in their court kind of for.
Because I'm sure that number will go up if it's not something we do.
Yeah. And,
Yeah, we've
Graf
let
said
them know that we kind of want to get the sod in the first week of October and get it approved. And
Grafs did say that those numbers were, because they did give that's a pretty good cost compared to what they normally charge, but that those are only good for 2022, those numbers, and then 2023 they would have to reevaluate what it would be.
The funds you mentioned, where the money would come from, they can comfortably accommodate that kind of expense?
Yep. Especially if we share them, then it's really easy.
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Lance. So I would look for a motion on the middle school grounds project funding.
I move we approve the middle school grounds project funding.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great positive thing for the community.
It's a huge eyesore in that area.
Yeah.
Just have some concerns with the usage, and that's ironed out well in advance, because we kind of had some issues on that here in the past, so I just want to make sure that
It's a joint
this is agreed
usage.
upon, probably in writing.
Okay.
I don't think we have to go so far as an intergovernmental agreement, but what's expected, I hope that gets broke down somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's really important to do
Just
that.
a MOU, memorandum of understanding.
We could do that. Do you want to put a limit, like up to $75,000, I think was?
For the funding for the motion. Move to approve up to
Yeah, from now on,
75,000.
we get everything in writing. No questions asked. Everything's in writing.
Yep.
Very good. Roll call vote.
Counselor Tyree,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Next item is finance.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll for August 2nd, 2022 through August 17th, 2022, totaling $1,231,128.81.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Tyree,
Yes.
Counselor Klinkhammer,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Next we have staff reports. Tyler Purvis, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening to City Council. Just a couple of announcements for the community with building permits overall. Naturally, naturally the busier time of year for building permits, typically spring and the summer. Everybody's ramping up for their home projects and construction season and so on. Throughout the winter, though, it slows down, but that doesn't mean it completely stops. No one typically likes the process of getting building permits. There's a cost involved, there's a time involved, there's accountability involved. But as I presented to the council at our last session, all the processes we have in place are there for a reason. And so we are not encouraging, we do require community members to get building permits for qualified projects. And so it's upon every citizen to double check if they're not sure whether or not they need a building permit for a project. So friends, family, anyone you know, they're welcome to give us a call overall. Second is just a FYI for the community, just because this question has come up a few times when it comes to water taps on vacant properties. Right now, and I'm not sure how far back it goes, but the city does not pre-sell water taps for vacant properties. Water taps are issued at the time of payment for building permits. And so if someone says that there's a piece of property available and water taps are with it, unless it was something established a long time ago, that's not the case. And so they will have to purchase water taps at the rate at which they are. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Chief Bus.
Good evening. Just a couple things. On Friday, the mayor, city administrator, myself met with 2 school board members and the superintendent to try to hash out how to move forward with the SRO program. So we made some progress there. I do have officers doing walkthroughs in the schools right now and traffic enforcement, so slow down. A lot of people are still seeing the flashing signs and not slowing down. But that's good that we're making some progress there. Yesterday and into today, we assisted the sheriff's office with a fugitive hunt. Last week we had several firearm stores in the county broken into, a firearm stolen, and the primary suspect was on the loose yesterday on foot. Out in the county, we had 7 of my staff involved in that, apprehended 1 of 3 suspects, so just a big kudos to my staff and everybody else who helped out with that. Wiggins PD came out, State Parks came out from Jackson Lake, and so a lot of help, a lot of support, and good operation there.
Chief, did they find firearms, or are they still floating around out there?
I do not
Can't
know
say.
a good answer
That's a
to
good
that.
question.
So I don't want to jump on that. We did pull our police officer vacancy ads for a little while so we could get some people up and through training. We did repost those this past week. And so if you know anybody who wants to be a cop or is a cop, please tell them Brush is the place to be.
Chief, I do have a question on that.
Yes, sir.
So I do know somebody that was looking at it. If they're a cadet, are they still getting the sign-on bonus or no?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And then last but not least, we put an offer out to a second CSO. That offer was accepted. There's some variables there with a family business, so we're still working on a start date, but that person will be starting sometime in September. I just don't have a final date yet, so very excited to bring him on board. That is all I've got.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lynch Schmidt, Director of Community Services.
Just a couple things. One thing that we're trying a little bit different with the school going to the 4 days work week or school week is that we have kept our swimming pool open on Fridays, that we're trying to keep open through Labor Day, and then we're also open on Sundays. We just didn't have enough staffing to do Saturdays also with all the kids that are doing sports and everything else, or mainly our employees and all that. So at this time, it is open on Fridays and Sundays until the Labor Day weekend. Thoughts were that if it goes really, really well, we would even try it until the weather turns south a little bit. It doesn't look like it's going to justify the attendance that we've been getting. We haven't been getting a lot of people. A lot of our seniors have been utilizing it a lot for lap swim and stuff. But we're not getting the amount of kids as I thought we would get on a Friday or on Sunday. So we'll evaluate that at Labor Day, but it will be open on Fridays and Sundays until Labor Day. Right now, we're also accepting registrations for soccer. That'll get started here in the next week or so. Right now, we have well over 130 kids already signed up, so that's going to be, people will be all over the place practicing that. And we're also taking sign-ups for co-ed softball, and that'll begin the week after Labor Day, and that's going to be on Sunday afternoons over at the softball fields. So we'll be starting adult co-ed. This past weekend at the golf course, we had our club championship. We had 42 people that participated in that, and the men's, Sammy Guzman won the championship, and then in the women's, Jenny Laverns did. Everything went really well. I think everybody had a great time there this past weekend, and I don't know if I had made this update last time, but our pizza oven is in. We're updating our menus here as we speak, and we should have them finalized hopefully this week. And the pizza's good. The pizza's really good, so I encourage anybody to go out there and give it a shot. And we're working with the school district right now to also include it in the concession stands for all the sporting events too. So we're just kind of slowly but surely doing some things, and we've also talked a little bit about delivery, but we haven't got to that point yet. So, questions?
Thank you, Lance. Joanne Goslink, Finance Director.
Just have a couple real quick items. Scott Zabel from Lauer Zabel was here this evening and visited with Finance Committee, and for those of you who didn't make it, his main focus is on this page that you guys received in your audit. And it's the one that's titled, it shows pages 9 through 11, pages 12. And his areas that he went over was like the third page back and farther, and those graphs and stuff in the back. If you have any questions about those, you're more than welcome to give me a call or come in and visit with me, and we can go over it. My other item is that you may recall, Council, that we had talked about adding another person to our admin staff. We have officially done that. That person will start August the 29th. So at that point, we'll have another body in our office, and hopefully that'll help us out a lot, and I'm excited.
Thank you, Joan. Deanna, Anything from the city clerk's office?
It says, reminder, special meeting tomorrow night with the rural fire board at the fire hall at 7 o'clock.
Very good. Dan Krabs, city attorney.
For those of you who know or heard that I've lost my email, it's finally back up. So most of you, that really doesn't bother, but I will talk to you about Robert's Rules of Order in a workshop. That's all I have.
Very good. And Montetora City Administrator.
Okay, a couple items. First one is Don Merrimee. He's retiring from the city of Brush after 46 years. And his dinner is going to be the 2nd of September. So if anyone is planning on going, let Kim know so that we can plan for the meals. He's done an excellent job as the water foreman for all those years. And so we'll miss him. And 46 years is a long time to work, and so we'll miss him. So let us know if you're going to make it to that. Other thing is just letting the council know that we're going to our priority setting exercises at the staff level. Tyler volunteered to lead that discussion tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I'm not aware of any council members that might have emailed Loranda or anyone ideas for that, but if there's any specific topics, what Tyler's going to do is an exercise with the rest of the department heads. They're going to look at the current priorities. We've had some discussions about some priorities that have been accomplished already, taking those off the list, and then department heads have a few different ideas that they want to throw in there, but we just need any feedback from the city council prior to tomorrow morning at 9, because that information is going to go to your priority setting workshop next week. And so if there's anything that you think that we should throw in there, let us know, and that way staff can kind of vet it. They vet it for a few things. One is, can we afford certain things? One is staff, every department head, they have so much time that they can work on certain things. Certain employees, there are some limitations, but they kind of vet all those different things before they bring a recommended priority list to the city council. So let us know. And other than that, you guys have a long workshop coming up, work session. So that's all I have.
Really long? No. Okay. Mayor and council reports. Any councilors have anything to report?
Curious where the subdivision stuff's at. I haven't heard. Maybe it probably got talked about when I wasn't here, but what?
You want to do a quick on the...
I haven't heard anything for a while. And Fort Morgan's breaking ground on another big one, so I was curious where we're stalled out or what the deal is.
Sure. Which one is up?
All of them.
Any of them?
Westwood.
So the Westwood subdivision over on the far west side of town, right off of 34 there, that was in discussion when I was here back in 2019, so it's been a long time coming. It was approved, a little preliminary, the preliminary subdivision plat, because with that, the subdivision improvement agreement was not done. So we've actually been working with the developer on finalizing that. We've narrowed it down to kind of one item that they're trying to figure out on whether they're willing to go forward based on the requirements that we have in place. We've been pretty flexible with that, over flexible already. So they have to ultimately pull the trigger. We are waiting for the comments from the preliminary plat from February, the red line comments that we sent back to them. So 6 months later, we still haven't received those. In the last email from the week before last, they said they're going to get on those right away and send those to us. So hopefully, if they do get those to us, we can iron things out. I mean, it's really in their hands right now, but hopefully in the next month is my hope. The other subdivision, remind me, Monty, which one?
North Point.
North Point, I actually spoke with their lead developer on that. They're going to be out on the site on Thursday this week to speak with us. They sent us a preliminary site plan for that, and so that one is moving forward. They're excited to get things going. As part of that, we're going to be moving our utilities from where they're located currently to accommodate for the space there. So they sent us all that we needed. I spoke with Dale Colrick about that today, and so he's going to meet with Chad Cox, our engineer, tomorrow to start putting together what we need so we can put that out for RFP to get those utilities moved, which would be the first part, so that way the site is completely cleared for them to start doing all their necessary work.
Okay.
Anybody else? And everything I was going to talk about has been covered. I just wanted to say I was encouraged by the positive communication that we've had with Dr. Wilson and the school board regarding the SRO program and getting officers back in the school, and so that makes me really happy that we're able to work through that and make it all good. And yeah, I think that's it. Anybody else? All right, so we will adjourn and move into our work session. Thank you, Deanna. Thanks. We'll see you. Do you need your recording? Do you want your recording? Or do you want to record it?
This session?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought we were going to do something.
No, 31st is though.
Yeah.
And then I'll just do this.
Okay, so I'll do a lead and I'll leave you here.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the school board and stuff still.
Yeah.
That's encouraging.
It
That
is.
is encouraged.
I know. Oh, really? You probably know more than I do.
Just mention it.
I'm going to live on my side of the fence. Stay that way.
A lot of community involvement, I think, on that. That situation.
Oh, thank you.
People were.
Oh, my stomach is
a little bit up there.
Turning circles.
Well, and it was encouraging too to see that some of the people that are kind of on the fence about the whole situation still supported some of the things.
Yeah.
That was
One of these to Chad.
Oh, Dan, your time's up.
And done. And done.
We'll see you next meeting.
Yeah. I'll be quick.
Do we have any extra handouts? Oh, I got one here too. I know Bruce wanted to do the. Do you want one of the handouts, Bruce?
Another copy?
Yeah.
Sure.
He was
Sure.
interested in the training. Are you guys interested in the Robert's Rules? Okay.
It's with the Casey's and extra right here.
Okay.
I got 3 people.
Okay.
More than me.
We do have a couple extras. There we go.
Okay, you got a couple extra, we'll share them,
Okay.
okay?
I apologize, I didn't realize we'd have an audience.
We're good to go. I think this is everyone, right? 6.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do a real quick lead-in. Honestly, I can't remember which council person or mayor, someone had came up and said, let's get some Robert's Rules of Orders training. And that is one of the priorities from last year. City council asked for more training. So when that came around, I talked to Loranda and we just said, let's do a Robert's Rules of Order training for the city council and other board members. So it worked out pretty good. And the way it really kind of shaped up it was going to be was we thought CML had like a video that you could watch on Robert's Rules of Order, but it turned out to be a PowerPoint presentation. So in your packets, and then if anyone doesn't have one of the big packets, there's probably, could be some extra over there. The extra packet for,
Looks like there's one.
oh, there might be one. But the last like 50 pages or so is CML's PowerPoint presentation. And so a lot of information for you to review. And then we asked our city attorney, Dan, we asked him to maybe do his own presentation on this, his own training, but maybe focus on like the top tips that he can give you from the legal side and what he's seen in the past. in regards to Robert's Rules of Order that might help you stay out of trouble or make your meetings go smoother as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan to do his presentation or discussion with you.
And thank you guys all. I'll try to be brief with this. I did somehow lose all my email, and so there was some miscommunication between Miranda and myself. I did actually find there's a municipal attorney who's widely respected. His name's Robert Widener, and he did a presentation on this. So I can get you that link. He's going to present it way better than I ever would. For you guys who aren't council members, I'm happy to. I'll give you my card and just shoot me an email, and I'll send you that link as well. But I guess what I was going to do was, I thought you'd already seen that part, so I was going to follow up. And now what I'm going to do is give you the Cliff Notes, give you the real short version of it, and then you can watch that presentation. And then, like as always, you guys have my cell phone number. Give me a call or call my office if you have questions. So Robert's Rules of Order came to fruition about the same time Colorado did. It's a 700-page volume now. Very, very few people have read it front to back and understand it. That attorney, Mr. Widener, that I was talking about, is one of those few people, so he's probably better at explaining it. What we usually as municipal attorneys end up doing is getting the same issues and the same questions coming up, because municipal government lends itself to the same issues. So your code requires that we follow Robert's Rules of Order. I might suggest that we amend our code because there are times when Robert's Rules of Order don't exactly line up perfectly with how we conduct business. One of the biggest examples is if you make a motion, you really aren't supposed to discuss it according to Robert's Rules of Orders until you're not supposed to discuss anything until there's a motion and a second. And it just doesn't lend itself that well in municipal government to that format. So I would recommend that we look at our code and adjust it a little bit. Really what this does is it tells you how to conduct meetings. It tells you this is how motions are made. These are your points of order, your point of information, your point of inquiry, your personal privilege. You guys do really a good job on this for the most part. Obviously there's always one or two things that we could do better, but the 6 steps of a motion: someone makes a motion, someone seconds it, clerk records the motion in the second, the mayor calls for discussion, then the mayor calls for a vote, and finally the mayor says the result of whatever happened. These expedient points, I don't hear these very often with most of my clients. Your point of order is going to be you interrupt the speaker and say, point of order, we had a first but not a second, so we need to correct that. It's, hey, get back to the rules, let's follow the rules. Your point of information is going to be more of a, chief boss says we need 13 police cars in one sentence, and then he says, oh, we actually need 7, and that's before you vote on something. You say, point of information, you said 7 here, 13 here, which one do you actually need? Just to clarify that. Your point of the inquiry, very similar, just to help you make a better decision before you vote. Point of personal privilege is, I can't focus on what's going on in the meeting, so I need to interrupt the meeting because it's too hot in here. Can we please open the window, or can we close the door because it's too loud out there? These tips are, I went through my emails to see kind of what questions I had asked or been asked from different councils. So some of these are kind of redundant, but these are the ones that I see over and over again. Make sure to follow your agenda. You guys are great about that. One of my other communities doesn't do it very well, or didn't do it, and it's a recipe for disaster. So keep doing good work. Talking over people, so giving each speaker your undivided attention. is really, really critical. It's even more critical now with remote meetings because I'll tell you on the other line or when you're on Zoom, if you have person A talking over person B, you can't get anywhere. The other complication, at least for me, that it brings up is if 3 weeks from now someone needs to clarify what a motion was, and Larry and I are sitting over here talking about football games, and if the recording picks that up instead of what the motion was, it's just another recipe for disaster. Number 4 here, this conflict of interest mandates recusal from voting. In my experience, you guys have been great about that. There's kind of a continuum of conflicts. You don't, and that's a whole training, so I'm not going to go into that, but we have one town, one very small town, where the mayor owned a bar and was hell-bent on voting for his own liquor license, and that clear conflict, don't do that. That opens up huge objections, right? There are other conflicts just on the other end of the spectrum where you're not supposed to vote in anything you have a pecuniary or monetary interest in. Well, if you guys have to vote to raise the water rates, that affects every one of you. You have a monetary interest in that. So that technically is a conflict, but that's just to show you that that's how they fill those 700 pages. There's all these one-off examples. So if you have a question about, hey, do I have a conflict, come to me, we'll talk it out, we'll work it out. Number 5, this is one that comes up because unless you're running a meeting or in government, establishing a quorum is kind of something that you don't really think about. But essentially you want to make sure you have enough voting members there to conduct business. And the thought behind it is you want to have enough different voices to say, yeah, the body is represented. So if there's not a quorum, which is a majority of the voters, then it's the mayor's, or if you're not here, the mayor pro tem's job to continue the meeting to a time, date, and place certain to establish a quorum. This number 6 is kind of repetitive, but it is limiting the idea of people talking over each other. So usually the mayor is in charge of the meeting. If we're discussing something, you'll acknowledge Councilor Lundstrom and talk. 7 is again limiting side discussions and interruptions. Number 8 is one that I think happens to most, if not all, of the towns I've represented, and that's trying to explain your vote right before you vote. So someone will call, they'll say, I vote to approve painting the swimming pool. We'll have discussion about it, or you'll get a second, we'll have discussion about it, and then someone will feel really guilty because it's their belief that, yeah, I support the swimming pool, but it doesn't need it right now, it's a waste of funds. So when it comes time to vote, they'll say, yeah, I support it, but I'm going to vote against it because this. That's not the time to have that discussion. That discussion should occur during the discussion phase. And it's really common with, like the appointing candidates like we had tonight. Hey, I really like you. We have this other person I really like too. You guys did a great job of doing that during the discussion period, not during the voting period. So, again, keep that up. Number 9 is my biggest one. When you hold an executive session, you want to use that as sparingly as possible. You want to, there are times when you need to have communications that don't leave the board, that don't go outside of there, but you want to use those. It should be the extreme exception rather than the rule. And the thought behind that is, if you close a door, it doesn't matter if you do everything by procedure, by the book, behind that door, people on the outside don't know what you did in there. And so to the extent that you can just take that that unknowing way that you can make a record of it, I suggest you do that every single time. The times that you do go into executive session, it's really important, especially for legislative challenges, that you cite the statute, and I can help you with that. You give as much notice as you possibly can without giving away the need for the executive session. So one of the common ones is we want to go buy a parcel of property. We obviously don't want other bidders to know, yep, this is our absolute maximum, because they're going to go in there and say whatever your maximum is plus $1, right? But for the most part, I think the vast majority of stuff can be done in open session, and it should be done in open session. Number 10, you guys know how to make motions. Everything else you do great with. Just know that if it does seem confusing, you're not the first person to know that. You're not the first person to say, what happens when there's a 3-3 tie or any of that. So just let me know. I'm here to help you. No shame in asking. And then this is a cheat sheet. This is your friend. Like I said, you guys really don't have a whole lot of issues with this, but this will make more sense to you after you watch that video. And for those of you that don't have it, I'll give you my card and just email me. I'll send you the video. You guys have my phone number. Give me a call. Stop what you're doing. Ask, email, whatever it is. Yeah, that's really all I had. Any questions, or you guys are just blown away by riveting rules?
I know I missed number 6 on the stages of emotion. I never do that. I need to do that. I just assume everybody notices. So, yep. See, this is why we need this training, because I'm missing this.
Yes, I do. My question, thank you for acknowledging me to speak. My question is kind of unique.
Okay.
And from what I understand, you make a motion, and the reason you have a second is to show support. And then you allow discussions so that everybody has a voice in the decisions to be made before you do a vote. Now, my question has to do with electronic voting, and I'm not talking about Zoom, and I'm not talking about GoToMeeting. I'm talking about an email where the chair of the meeting, the chair of the group, sends a message to everyone saying that I need a vote on this. And so I move that we amend something, amend a date, for instance. And so I need a vote on everybody by a certain time. And if there's no indication of any seconds or anything like that, or discussion, just an email, and so wanting a response by a certain time. Is that a violation of the Roberts Rules? And if it is, what is your recourse if I'm a member of the group? And could I appeal? And if there's a dead end of an appeal, there's no chance that my appeal would pass anyway. I mean, am I just screwed or what?
So can I ask, it sounds like this is a very specific situation. And in the municipal world, the first thing I tell all my clients to do is never email without having a blind carbon copy, because anytime you have 3 or more people on an email, and by people I mean council members, you're essentially holding a non-notice meeting, and you're in violation of the Public Meetings Act. So in that context, you're absolutely open to challenge. That vote is going to get torn up and pulled apart. And that's a whole nother side of issues. I sit personally on the board of, it's called State of Trails Responsible Recreation. And that happens all the time because we have to get the Forest Service yeah, we want to spend this money by this date so we can close out this grant. And you don't have your open meetings issues like you would with the municipal government there, but I do think that it's open to challenge. I do think that there is recourse. I do think that most of these should be done following notice and a chance for everyone to be heard. And there's, you know, I lost my email this week. There's all kinds of risks that you run by not notice and chance to be heard. So I definitely think so. If you want to give me a call after this, I'm happy to go down that scenario with you.
And I just wanted to say one more thing before I have anybody else. I'm not trying to hoard any in a discussion or anything like that. I am very strict on confidentiality, so just to be rest assured, no names, or to me, it's just a scenario.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Is there anyone?
Could I make a comment on that note? I sit on a couple other boards, and I know sometimes, you know, the executive directors say we need to roll this CD over or something. Can I get a motion? And then everybody will say, I move we blah, blah, blah. Somebody will email back, I second, and then everybody will email the votes. And if anybody has any comments, they'll throw them in there. But it's easy to do simple stuff like that. But if it's
And I do
anything more
think-
than that, we definitely could not function like that.
Right. Yeah, I would shut that down
Yeah.
as soon as I saw that email for you. I think in a non-governmental board, it probably is still risky, but I think you have less risk because of open meetings.
Like I said, I don't want to hoard any discussion or anything like that, but I just have one other question. If you want me to wait, I can.
No, go ahead.
If there's a majority rule and you're a lone wolf out there saying, wait, this doesn't look right, this isn't right, and the majority rules to where they vote to follow the chair that made this motion, and you're the only person out there, what can you appeal a majority rule in that situation?
So, can I have a motion to reconsider? Where is that? I don't see it on. There's about 300 versions of this cheat sheet, and I used the one that I thought would be most conducive to the municipal world. You could have the motion to reconsider. Usually, in my experience, those motions get shot down because it takes a super majority to reconsider that, meaning 2/3 of the people that just voted against you, and usually they're gonna turn around and vote against you as well. So, you can, if the reason you think things went wrong is a procedural issue, then you could have a point of order, just saying, yeah, 5 or 6 of you voted against me, but there was no second, so point of order, we need a second to vote on this, and then I would think you would revisit it, but that's, in my experience, a very uphill battle.
Could you discuss it before that point, or would you have to have a second before you could discuss it again?
Before, so
So if he wanted them to reconsider something, and you make a motion to reconsider, you can't really discuss it till there's a second? Or how would that work? Or could they have a discussion before you made a motion to reconsider? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't know that part of the book off the top of my head.
Come on, Dan. It's page 687.
I apologize. It's one of the
No.
reasons I think we should look into.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah. I would think
I
a lot
like
of,
it too.
of like what you're asking probably has a lot more to do with whatever the bylaws of whatever particular board, you know, you're on state, and I would say if that was something that you or other people weren't comfortable with, the bylaws need to be changed to where that can't happen through emails. So I think a lot of, like, your leg to stand on about trying to stop a vote of, just getting completely overruled through like an email, I think your best bet there would probably be to change the way you're allowed to make those decisions. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever the bylaws are for the board or the group, you might not have much recourse on it if that's how it's stated the process is supposed to happen. So, if the process doesn't work, change the process.
Well,
That's
and
going to take a vote.
I'm kind of hesitant to answer these questions because a lot of these are so fact dependent. Like I said earlier, if it's a municipality versus a volunteer board, it dramatically changes how I would respond to that. One thing I will say though is once a board acts, if I'm on this board and everyone votes against me, you act as a board, so it is majority. So that's something to keep in mind.
So you're screwed.
I wouldn't say that way, but yeah, it's an uphill battle. But if you want to, there's probably a couple follow-up questions that you might not want to answer.
Yeah, I just wanted to let Mr. Spravel know that I did research the rules and the rules that were of the organization, and there's no rule that addresses specifically an email motion by email.
That'd probably be something that I would bring up then.
Tyler,
I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking this is like an HOA board or something, just something that's built for a particular issue or a particular area. And if that doesn't exist, then I think that's something like at an HOA meeting you would want to bring up and say, hey, there's nothing that addresses this, we need to address this and create rules for this or a process or something to that effect would be probably how I would approach that. But yeah.
Tyler,
Two questions, not about that, but something separate. The first one, when closing out a meeting, and based on how the meeting ended tonight, I guess the answer is no. But can I get a motion to dismiss? I've heard people say you got to have a vote, and some people say you just need a second. What's the real rule on that?
The Roberts rule, and that's one that we consistently do, which, if we get challenged on, our meeting ended at this point, that's the least of my worries, right? But the Roberts rule is recess in the meeting, you do need a second, and then it's a majority vote.
And we used to do it that way, but then we were told, oh no, we could just adjourn the meeting, so.
And
I don't know when it changed but
and the problem is that a lot of municipalities, the attorney I was talking about before, Bob Widener, has Bob's Rules of Order, which are Robert's Rules of Order adapted to municipalities, and some of them are a little more lax, and a lot of municipalities follow that. So when you go to these conferences and you hear, oh, we just closed this way, and then it happens. Your code currently requires Robert's Rules, which is the more formal one, so.
Okay. And the second question is just, if you don't have a quorum, obviously you can't vote on anything, but can you discuss anything?
I would, no, because you're not gonna take any action. In my experience, it's been, you want all the council there as far as you can to all hear the same information. I'm trying to think if there's like the exception to that rule, and in my experience, it's always been, no, let's shut it down. We'll try again when we have more people.
Right. Okay.
I thought we switched to Bob's rules.
Yeah, let's go to Bob's.
And if you guys want, I can send you Bob's rules.
I'd be interested in that just to see what they are.
Is that Bob Widener from the executive board?
Yeah.
He's on that, okay, yeah. Yeah, they were talking about Bob's rules out that last thing that I went to. It's kind of what made me
Yeah.
want to dive into this.
He spent a lot of time and he's got a lot of good information, and part of what makes it difficult is half of my towns follow this, half of them follow Robert's rules and remembering which side I'm in, so,
Some of us are a hybrid.
yeah.
That was a
Thank
good,
you.
good
Thank you.
Cliff's Notes.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thank y'all for coming. Stayed.
Thank you for hosting this.
Sure.
You guys seen that like viral video? Point of personal privilege. You know, I don't want everybody to clap, so can we just do this? Have you seen that video?
I've seen various versions of stuff like
I
that.
don't know what it is. It's like a.
I didn't know
man,
the verbiage for that came from this
Thank you.
point of personal privilege. I didn't know that's where that came from.
I'll send it to you. Because it's worth the watch.
Can I get a card?
Anything accomplished, if all they're doing is. Point of personal privilege. The clapping is really triggering me.
Yes,
We all-
that I've heard. That I've heard.
That's
I think
triggering.
it's pretty great. Wow.
There it is.